What's up, guys? Do you know what I hate? I hate being wrong about gear. And do you know what I hate even more about being wrong about gear? It's being wrong about gear and then realizing that it's going to cost me more money. And I was wrong about the Quad Cortex. So that is what this video is about. And it's also about how the Quad Cortex is filling a gap in my gear collection. If you caught my FM3 review video, you'll completely understand why I loved and hated that thing at the same time. I think hate is kind of a strong word, but it had its annoyances, but I also outgrew the unit. Once I heard the captures of my amplifiers that I made, it really opened my eyes to what a difference it could make having your own gear in a digital unit. And as much as I loved the little Nano Cortex and as great as it would have worked with my pedal collection and things like that, I really wanted to use the opportunity of having these captures of my amplifiers to kind of consolidate all of my stuff into one pedal board. Now, by that, I mean, I had a completely separate pedal board with the FM3 that I used for my acoustic shows, and I would also have a totally separate board for my full band electric shows. And I wanted to consolidate everything down into one easily managed pedal board. Now, before I go any further, I would like to give a big shout out to my sales guy, Alan at Sweetwater, for helping me get one of these Quad Cortexes. I know that they're in short supply these days. There's a big demand for them. And he was able to source a demo unit for me to purchase. And I was able to use, I returned the Nano Cortex, and I was able to use that return money to help put towards the cost of the Quad Cortex, which was quite a bit more expensive even with that demo discount. But here we are, and with the money from the Nano Cortex as well as the FM3 sale, I have right around broken even with the purchase of this unit. So we're going to talk about how I used this for 2 gigs this past weekend, how I have it set up, how I use the signal path, and just sort of how it's going to improve my workflow, specifically with the acoustic shows, but also with my full band as well. Now, I can already hear the Fender Tone Master Pro users bemoaning the fact that I paid money for this instead of the Tone Master Pro. And realistically, the only reason for that is because this has the sounds of my amplifiers in it, and the Tone Master Pro does not. I love the Tone Master Pro. I still think it is hands down the best built unit of these professionally priced modelers and digital units. I feel like the usability, the user experience, the user interface is by far the best. And as good as the experience is on this, it wasn't without its challenges and learning curves that I just did not encounter with the Tone Master Pro. So again, I feel like the Tone Master Pro is still the best in terms of build quality, user experience, and ease of use and flexibility when it comes to the foot switching and things like that. However, it doesn't have my amplifier sounds in it, and this does. That's kind of where the rubber meets the road for me with this unit versus everything else on the market. Now, I've already used this a little bit the last couple of days to make some more captures. I've got some more captures of the SLO. I've got a crunch patch for the SLO, which I think sounds great. And I've also got several direct amp sounds captures so that you can use either the built-in cabinets or the impulse responses that you've already been using. So lots of options there, and that's kind of how my capture process is going to continue moving forward. So as I get these amplifiers in to review, to take on stage and demo, I'm going to be capturing both the full amp with my Splon cabinet as well as just the amp head itself so that you can use whatever cabinet simulation you want to use. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at how I have this set up and how I used it at a very big show that we had this weekend. It was a wedding. We had a ton of fun, and post-gig report, the Quad Cortex sounded amazing and it performed amazing, but there were some challenges that I encountered on stage during the performance that we will go over. Okay, so I'm going to switch to the top-down camera now, and we're going to go through and look at how the signal path flows. So we start off, we do have a noise gate on the input block here, and it's not an aggressive gate by any means. I don't use a lot of gain, so I don't need a very aggressive gate. The next in line is this pitch shifter. Now, our band, we play Parabola by Tool, and if you've heard the song, you're familiar with the gigantic drop that it does at the very end of the song, and this is what this pitch shifter does. So it takes care of that, and I think that this pitch shifter sounds better than the transposer. There is something that gets lost when you drop down as low as I'm doing here. Something gets lost in the transposer, both on the Nano Cortex as well as this. And I feel like this retains a little bit of that clarity and sparkle in the top end of the sound that the transposer kind of loses. And so that's why I'm using this. And these are the settings that I'm using for this. We have a exotic drive boost, and I really don't use this a lot with the high gain Nitro. I do have a crunch patch set up, or excuse me, a crunch capture in here that we'll hit next. And it sounds really good with this exotic drive here. So just like with the Tone Master Pro, the Quad Cortex can flip-flop between two different captures, effectively giving you two different amp sounds. And the first one in line here is the crunch capture from the SLO. And it's not a completely clean, it's kind of like a relatively low-ish gain, but it's a sound that I can just kind of barely tweak the volume knobs here or the volume pedal and get nearly completely clean. So I really like using that, and I used that for a couple of songs this weekend. Sounded great. So we have an SLO Crunch capture here, and then I also have the Nitro high gain capture next in line. And if you look on here, they're both set to foot switch G. And so what that does is, if I get out of here, I can hit G, and you see how it flip-flops between the two of them. And basically what that does is it lets me jump with the foot switch pressed from one to the other. And it works exactly how I set up the Tone Master Pro, which would have two different amplifier blocks in there. And you would assign one foot switch to engage both of them or disengage both of them, whichever one is off or on. It basically just sort of toggles active or deactivates based on one being off and one being on, and it always just sort of flip-flops between the two. So that's how I have my quote-unquote channel changing set up on here. Next in line is just kind of a basic little EQ here to massage the sound just a little bit, and we played outside for our wedding, and I had a second block here set up that kind of pumped up the low end just a little bit. It was just a little massaging because if you've ever played outside, you realize that you lose a ton of that low end response from both your amp and your sound system. And so for that show, I did have a lot more low end beefed up in the sound to kind of help it fill out a little bit more than what it normally would without that. Next in line, I have my plate reverb, and these are the settings for that. It's nothing fancy or over the top. It's just a good old plate reverb. Next is a simple ping pong delay, and this is just kind of, again, very basic, simple as the name implies. You know me by now. I don't use any kind of fancy effects, but I do want a specific sounding effect in my signal chain. Next in line is the Dimension Chorus. Now, I really did like the Dimension Chorus in the Nano Cortex, but I hated the fact that I couldn't kind of toggle it on and off with a single press the way that I can on this. So I really enjoy the Dimension here, and on stage, because of the way that I have the output set up on here, the stereo depth that I get with this chorus is absolutely huge. I'll talk about the way that I do this routing in a minute, but basically this stereo delay and chorus put together, it sounds absolutely massive and big and luscious. And we played Lightning Crashes by Live, and the chorus and delay going on that, it sounded really, really good. Last but not least, we have a volume block here that adds 3 decibels of gain, and the way that that works is right here. I have a switch to toggle my solo boost, and it basically just gives me 3 decibels of solo boost for my solos, and that's my guitar signal chain. Down here on input 2, this is where my vocal mic goes through, and this is kind of where the consolidation happens with both of my pedal boards. For both of my boards, I would use the TC Helicon mic mechanic for my vocal mic, and my microphone would go straight into the mic mechanic, and then it would go out to the PA. Now, in my acoustic shows, because I have my vocals also coming from the FR behind me, I would have to use a mic splitter so that I could have the microphone signal both going into my FR, but also splitting out to the PA. And again, with the Quad Cortex, I don't have to make that sacrifice anymore, and I can completely ditch the mic mechanics. So the way that I have this set up is I have a utility gate on here, and basically what that does is it kind of like shuts down the signal from the mic if I'm not singing, and it helps to cut down a little bit on that stage noise that otherwise the microphone is hearing and kind of feeding through the sound system. So it's not a very aggressive gate. It doesn't really need to be, but it's just enough that it sort of kind of clamps down on the mic so that it's not capturing a whole bunch of extra noise or like, you know, talking between songs and things like that. Next, I have a compressor. Again, kind of self-explanatory. It kind of, if I get a little too loud or a little too quiet, it kind of helps bring it to an adequate level. Then I have a good old plate reverb for the vocals, and again, we do have the option to use the PA for this, but I really like the way that it sounds coming out of this. Last but not least, we have a graphic 9-band EQ, and again, this is just kind of massaging the EQ of the vocals just a little bit, and this can fluctuate from venue to venue. Also, we do have one other big reverb, and this one is specifically used for the introduction, the beginning of Crazy Train. So when we play that, I'm yelling all aboard, and we want that big, long, big reverb going on it, and so we I have a specific reverb set up just for that. But the fact that I can do that is what makes, you know, again, is makes this a really good product to use for that. I don't have anything on the return and send yet, but I'm got some ideas that I'm going to be playing around with later. So this is exactly what I used at our show, and I will go ahead, make sure this is saved, and I'll show you my acoustic patch. All right, so this is the signal path for the acoustic gig. Down here on the vocals, it's almost identical. It doesn't have that extra reverb block on there, but for the most part, everything else is the same. Up here, I haven't changed the, I have a utility gate on here. I need to remove that. I don't think it really, it's not really needed for acoustic. But I've got the compressor on here, again, kind of helping to level out the acoustic guitar. It's not anything crazy or over the top. I have my solo boost here, and the reason that I have it in front is so that if I'm using a loop, the solo boost doesn't boost the loop, the sound that's looping. So I have that back here. Next is a couple of impulse responses that I really like using. I think that these two sound really good with my Godin multi-act steel guitar that I play at my acoustic shows. So these are the ones, these are both free impulses from the guys at Worship Tutorials. I think they sound really good, and it can kind of be challenging with the thin semi-hollow or hollow body acoustic guitars that don't have a sound hole, that are only relying on the piezo pickups. It can kind of be challenging to find the right sound from an impulse response. So I think that these two kind of complement the voice of the guitar and the piezo system the best. Next, again, nothing fancy. It's just kind of a ping pong delay going on there. And then I have, again, the dimension chorus, and same settings as on my electric guitar. Full band patch, I think mode 3+4 kind of sounds the biggest and like the most like 3D sounding. And then finally we come to the looper here, and I'm still playing around with this. Now, I had already been using the TC Ditto X4 looper previously, and what I liked about that was the way that I capture loops is I'll be playing a rhythm section and I'll capture, me playing the rhythm part. And then I want to be able to stop the recording, but not immediately start playing the loop, because I might be going from a rhythm part into the chorus or maybe to a bridge or something like that. And I don't want the guitar loop for the rhythm part to be playing over something completely different. I want to be able to just stop it, save it, and then be able to instantly play that loop again once I get to like a solo part or something like that. So I really like the ability to do that on the X4, and I'm still figuring out, I haven't gotten too much time to play with the looper here. But what I did do is I ordered, let me grab it real quick. So this is the Paint Audio MIDI Captain. It's this tiny little thing right there. I love the footprint. I love the size and the form factor of it. And the fact that it has 2 buttons is hopefully going to enable me to not have to be in the loop screen. And if I am, I think I have another way to kind of facilitate how I want to use this. So the way I'm hoping to be able to use this little switch is to hopefully hit a button to start the loop recording, and then hit another button to stop and not play it. And a third function of holding down maybe the button to stop it and to erase it or to go back. Basically just to get rid of it. I don't do any layering with my loops. It's very simple and straightforward. I just want to capture one part of the song that I can then recall for a solo or whatever. So that's the way that I'm hoping to be able to use this. I need to dig into the software for this little guy and get. I know that there's a specific page for the looper MIDI commands, the CCs and program changes and all that good stuff for the Quad Cortex. So definitely I'm going to be digging into that. But for now, I am still using the TC looper until I get all this figured out. I did play a little bit with it just for like a very simple part where I didn't need to immediately stop it. And it worked fine. It worked great. And unlike the Tone Master Pro, when you go into the looper, it remembers the loop level that you assigned to the loop playback. On the Tone Master Pro, it would always default to like 100% volume. If you went to another patch or came back, it would always be back at 100%. And with this one, it stays where you put it, and that's what I like. And getting back to the signal chain here, the only 2 things after the looper is my reverb. Again, just a plate reverb and a little bit of EQ here. And I don't know why I have that assigned to a scene. Get back. Okay, so reverb and EQ. And the main reason why they're after the loop is because I want those to continue to be applied to the sound of the loop, as well as whatever I'm playing. If you remove that, if you move these up, then your loop might not sound right. At least it didn't quite sound right when I was playing around with it. So that is how that is all set up. Now I'm going to talk about how I do the routing for this unit, both for my acoustic shows and for my live, my full band shows. Okay, so on our output blocks here, you can see that my guitar is going out outputs 1 and 2, and my vocals are going out 3 and 4. Now the way that I have this set up here is, I'm going to go ahead and unlink these again. I have these outputs split for both out 1 and 2 and out 3 and 4. And the way that I'm running this is I'll have one XLR from my guitar going into the PA. The other one goes into the FR behind me. And what I like about splitting them this way is that I can leave the one going to the PA, I can leave that alone. And if we need to mess with the levels of my guitar in the PA, we can use the mixer for that. However, I want to be able to use one of these little rotary encoders here to independently control the volume going to my FR, which prevents me from having to lean over behind the physical speaker and kind of tweak this little volume knob. So it just makes it a lot easier here. Not quite as easy as doing it on the Tone Master Pro, which I showed off in that video, where I was able to tap the mixer button on the physical unit with my foot and pull up a mixer and be able to roll my shoe up against the rotary encoder, which turns a lot easier than these. These kind of have like an indentation on there. It kind of clicks and it doesn't turn as smoothly as the one on the Tone Master Pro. But on this, you can't get out of this menu without hitting this check mark right here. So on the Tone Master Pro, you could tap on the button over here to pull up your mixer or a menu or something like that, and then easily roll your foot to adjust your volume, and then tap that button again to go back to your main performance screen. I really like that, and I wish that there was a way to do that. If they could just, this thing right here, take this knob and be able to push it and go back to the performance screen, that would make life really easy. If I'm in the middle of a song and I just kind of need to make a little tweak there, that would make life really easy. It still wouldn't let me get to this screen without having to physically swipe down, which kind of is like a pain in the butt when you're like in the heat of the moment. And that right there was sort of my biggest point of friction when using this live, was having to always hit this little checkbox right here to leave whatever menu you're working on. So again, like I'm in the middle of a song, I need to adjust the EQ. Okay, well, I have to hold a note or find a part in the song where I can kind of get away with maybe like some legato, or just kind of like, you know, doing this where you're kind of fretting chords like this. Reaching down here, swiping down, hoping the first swipe gets you to the menu for your levels, and then make your adjustments and then hit the check mark to go back. Or several times where I needed to kind of tweak the EQ, having to tap the EQ block, make whatever changes I need to, and then tap it again to go out. Like that was a pain in the butt, because if you're in these menus for the settings on these and you hit this button takes you to another patch. And I hate that. Like if you hit that, you're all of a sudden you're on a completely different patch. I don't like that. I would like to have the ability for, if you're editing something and you need to leave this screen and go back to the performance screen, I want to be able to hit this button and go back. But no, it takes you to another patch. Give me the ability to do that. If you guys in the comments who are more familiar with the Quad Cortex know of a way to do that, please let me know, because that would be huge. It would mean I wouldn't have to, you know, reach down there again and hit that checkbox. So that was kind of my biggest pain point of the night of using this. And in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't a huge deal, but it was something that I didn't have to deal with the Tone Master Pro. On the Tone Master Pro, when you're editing any of the blocks on there, there is a specific dedicated button over here to exit and go back to the performance screen. The Quad Cortex needs that. If it doesn't have it hidden away in some kind of menu setting, it is sorely needed in my opinion. So I would love to see them add that if it's not already in there. And going back into these outputs, output 3 and 4 over here, right now they're coupled, but for my acoustic show, I will decouple these the same way that I did for the XLR outputs for 1 and 2, and I will have one cable going into my FR and the other cable going into the PA. And again, what this lets me do is it lets me control the vocals for this in my FR. It lets me control it independently with the little encoder here, and not mess with the levels of my vocal mic going into the PA. So again, very, very helpful to be able to split these and have separate controls over the outputs of both my guitar and my vocals. All right, well, I've done enough talking. Let's go through a quick little sound check here and let you guys hear what all I'm working with. And again, we're gonna start with the crunch, and this is kind of what the crunch has got going. I'm checking my levels here. I forgot to recouple these. So again, so that first swipe didn't work. Okay. All right, and like I said, I can clean this up pretty nicely. And the drive on top of that. But I use the Golden Boy for pretty much all of my boosting at the show, so let's hear what that sounds like. I have it set on the clean boost, it's on the blue setting, blue mode, and on the drive boost, it's on the purple setting. So let's hear the clean boost. And the drive boost. All right, now we're gonna kick over here to the Nitro, the main attraction, and this is kind of what we got going on. Little delay. All right, I'm going to tune down here. We're going to hear what the Golden Boy sounds like on top of this Nitro patch. All right, drop down. This is unboosted to begin with. Let's hear the boost built into this that I have set up. It's not nearly as good, as, in my opinion, as the Golden Boy, but we'll hear it anyways. All right, let's go to the clean boost. All right, drive boost. right, well, that is going to wrap up this initial impressions and kind of first post-gig report of using the Quad Cortex. And I feel like it's a great step forward for me in terms of that consolidation, continuing to be able to make these rig captures, amp captures, head captures for you guys. Because again, like I said in my Nano Cortex videos, you guys have been awesome and have made part of this happen through those affiliate purchases. Now, just like in all my videos, I will have everything that I've used to make these sounds happen in the video description. And for any of them that are sold by Zounds, I will have affiliate links for those purchases. So even if you're not interested in making one of those purchases, but you do need some gear, you can use those affiliate links to browse the website and get anything you need, whether it's just kind of your typical like accessories like strings, picks, and things like that, all the way up to some big purchases like amps and guitars, which some of you guys have been using my affiliate links to make, which again, they're a big help to me and they don't cost you guys anything extra. If you are not interested in purchasing anything today, but you're not subscribed, if you're one of the nearly 90% of my viewers who aren't subscribed, do me a huge favor and help my channel grow by hitting that subscribe button, liking the video. And if you've got any of your friends or peers or whoever that might be interested in the Quad Cortex or the Nano Cortex, feel free to share these videos with them so that they can get that exposure. Those videos, I know mine aren't near the top like a lot of the much bigger guys on YouTube, but hopefully I can bring some interesting content to the table that maybe offer a different perspective, different philosophies with the format of my videos and kind of the talking points that some of these other guys might not include in theirs. So yeah, lots of help from you guys. Greatly appreciate all of you for checking these things out and subscribing and supporting my channel. I will have a pedal board build of this, as if YouTube needs another Quad Cortex pedal board build video. But it's not going to be like one of those tiny little fly rig boards. It's going to be my full gigging board with much more elaborate stuff going on than some of these other builds. Not to take away from what they're doing. I think that it's really cool that you can make a very tiny compact little rig and still have a fully functioning guitar setup out of kind of just this and maybe a expression pedal. But I use some extra stuff, and one of the things that we're going to be addressing is the power situation. No secret here, it's a Chox DC7 and Crux that I'm going to be using to replace the Friedman power supply that I've been using under there. So yeah, look forward to that. We will slap together a new pedal board and get everything organized for gigging with this. And for some of the comments out there, I saw some people asking, if you love the ToneMaster Pro so much, why don't you just buy one? And the reason that I would give these guys is that I don't want to spend a lot of money on something that I'm not going to be able to use a lot. And although I feel like for the way that I'm using this, the ToneMaster Pro would be equally as competent. It does everything that this does except for the captures. And that's, again, like I said, that's kind of where this takes over for me in my brain of delivering the specific sound that I want to hear that the ToneMaster Pro doesn't. I feel like if you're not after a capture sound of your own gear or whatever, I feel like the ToneMaster Pro probably still has a leg up on this, if I'm being 100% honest. But for me personally, if I'm not using an amplifier that I'm demoing, I would like to use this as the main effects processor so that I don't really have to mess with anything on the pedal board. I can just send, a send and return cable from this into the amplifier head and, have all these great effects at my feet, just the same way that I would if I had the ToneMaster Pro. So, but yeah, long-winded way of saying the ToneMaster Pro doesn't do amp captures. Again, like I've mentioned a couple of times already. That's why I went with this instead of the ToneMaster Pro. I'm eagerly awaiting whatever it is that Fender puts out next for the updates for the ToneMaster Pro. So like I've mentioned again, it's not the last time you'll see the ToneMaster Pro on the channel. But for now, we're rolling with the Quad Cortex, and we're now three members wide on stage with Quad Cortexes on our boards. We sound pretty good, I must admit. So yeah, we're gonna be putting a pedal board together, gonna continue to gig with this thing and continue to see how it performs and really dig into the looping for my acoustic shows. But anyways, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me for another long-winded video. But there was kind of a lot to talk about and kind of get off the table here for this new piece of gear. And yeah, stay tuned for the next video, and I will see you guys later. Take care.